Mayday! Come in! If anyone can hear me, my starship has been pulled into the anomaly. I find myself in a strange new world. It is a world with no sun, no stars. It is a world of anime. Comics. Here we go! Gaming. Movie. This world is the Rogue Planets. With your host, the Fat Mantis HD.
Hello, welcome into Rogue Planet. I am your host, the Fat Mantis HD, and I hope you're all having a beautiful, wonderful Wednesday. We are here live in audio on Spotify Green Room, and of course, if you want to see the visuals, if you want to see me and my guests do stupid things, feel free to tune in to Twitch over on the Fat Mantis account. Hope you are all having an amazing one. Of course, today is the drop date on Disney Plus for none other than Moon Knight. Some people are saying it's genius, others want to wipe their ass with it. What will be the answer? We're about to find out today, and I've got a whole panel of discussion. How is everybody, before we get to my guests, how is everybody doing today? Tristan says, do you ever let people call on? No, I don't. Sorry, bro. Actually, last week was a call-in show, and that was absolutely your opportunity. Courtney says, man, I just want to have a couple of beers with Steve Grant. He just seems like a really nice... Yeah, oh man, I can't wait to get into that. Carmen, welcome in. Laney, holler at your boy. Then what do we have over on Twitch? A lot of love from a lot of people. Thank you so much for making Rogue Planet the -- live podcasts in the world. I have no way to justify that. Anyway, moving on to our guest for the evening. Of stage, screen, and just general infamy, we have none other than Steve, the Hold Up TV. Welcome, Steve.
Yo, what's going on?
I'm living the dream. The question is, have you seen Moon Knight?
Of course, I watched it at work, and yeah, we'll get into it.
For starters, I gotta say, I love that your answer was, yeah, I watched it at work. Yeah,
that has no bearing on what I felt about the show, but I watched it.
I do. I love anyone who can get paid and watch a Marvel show. That is a baller right there. That's what I'm talking about. Over in Green Room, Carmen has a gif of Oscar Isaac licking his fingers seductively. So I think
that's a good gif. I just gotta say.
Yeah, it is. And of course, our other guest,
high quality,
is currently the star of Gray Screen Gaming, former star of the Spoon Podcast, Grim Inquiries, none other than Gray Winthrop. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to this.
Thank you guys for putting up with the Fat Mantis and his shenanigans. You know, you guys are all right. So we're going to talk about Moon Knight, right? So it would seem that Kevin Feige has been spending all his damn time trying to adapt all sorts of any property he can get his hands on. You know, as soon as he's going to be doing Power Pack, right? That's how desperate he is to get a new content, and he decided to land on this, a lesser known but still somewhat popular street level hero known as Moon Knight. Do you guys, either of you, have? Are you guys fans? Have you read the comic? What are your thoughts going into this? Before,
I've always loved Moon Knight, man. He's I got a thing for street level superheroes and villains, and even though he kind of transcends that in the comics at certain points, I love how underrated Moon Knight is. I love his fighting prowess. I love everything about the mental health situation. Yeah, I'm a fan, man. I'm also a fan that he kicked the Punisher off a roof in one of the comics, and I loved that.
Well, you know what's actually funny? The Punisher is normally like It's so funny. So many people love the Punisher, but I feel like he is the whipping boy of every street level hero.
So whenever they premiere a new street level hero, just like in the X-Men, if they want to prove that this person is good, he's got to beat two people up street level. He's either got to beat up Daredevil or he's going to beat up Punisher.
Yes.
There they are.
yeah. And usually the Punisher thing always comes with a moral code. Like the Punisher, they want to do the right thing. The Punisher is being a grump and wants to murder some people. And then our new hero has to be like, you can't do that. What about you, Gray? What were your thoughts going into as the character, as a franchise, Moon Knight?
So, had read Moon Knight when I was a kid, but how's my levels, by the way? Sorry.
Oh, you sound great.
Okay, great. Okay, so I had read Moon Knight as a kid, but I've basically forgotten everything I read. Like I remember like covers of comics. And I know the basic story of Mark Spector, the Moon Knight, but I was going in pretty fresh, because I just don't. My mind has a certain capacity, and it's over capacity right now, so I do not remember any of his comics.
I'm sorry. Can you refresh that? I don't think anyone understands what that. What do you mean your mind has over capacity?
There's just too much stuff in the world to remember. You know what I mean?
Oh, so basically your mind is starting to delete your childhood, things like comic books, 80s movies, things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. That's
Yeah.
That's happening to me, but I certainly won't admit it.
Thanks.
So I got to tell you guys, I'm a huge fan of Moon Knight. Maybe not huge, but I always liked him. I read his comic from time to time. Recently, probably about like 5 or 6 years ago, Jeff Lemire, one of my favorite comic book writers, author of Sweet Tooth. If you haven't read that graphic novel, you need to. He did a run on him, and he was actually created his another alter ego, Mr. Knight, which we're going to get into later on. But that run was amazing, and he kind of brought Moon Knight back into the, I honestly think Jeff Lemire's run is one of the main reasons why they would adapt Moon Knight.
Right.
So do you guys know, who can tell me anything about Moon Knight? What do you know about him from the comics before we actually start ripping into what this show was about?
Great, you want to kick it off?
Oh, I'm just going to say, I know that he's Jewish. I know that he's like a Batman type hero, but kind of mentally ill. And my son is coughing in the background. Sorry about that.
Jewish? What is that supposed to mean?
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't remember a lot from the actual comics. I know we had them in our home. I know that I looked at them, but I do not remember a thing about actually reading them. Like I said, going in fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to be quite honest, since he's had so many different arcs in Marvel, I've done a lot of research on some of his newer stuff. But I know the same level. I know the origin story of him being the guy that went to the Egyptian temple, et cetera, et cetera. I've read basically all of his minor arcs, things to do with him fighting Doctor Doom and his general disdain for his level in the superhero hierarchy. But I think they retconned that too. And I also really enjoyed that they put him up against Taskmaster, who he sunned, and also sunned Deadpool. So I've loved all his rebirths in Marvel as well.
Right. So, like I said, I was a big fan, but I had to take away big for it. Like, for instance, I could not tell you who his villains are. And for instance, in this episode, I don't know who these guys are. This organization and this bigwig leader. So that I'm saying you probably don't really know a character until you know who their arch enemies are. But I would say, yeah, same thing. He's a Jewish cabbie who's a soldier of fortune. He's a mercenary. Winds up in an Egyptian temple on a mission, and then ends up getting possessed by a Egyptian god, and his mind fractures into multiple personalities, and that's the main thing. And then he's basically the white Batman. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't Batman white? No, I don't mean white. I mean his costume is white. Before I'm canceled, I think I've already said 3 or 4 things this episode to be canceled. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about it. What are your first thoughts on this singular episode we saw today?
So I'm just gonna start and open myself up for the usual criticism from Mantis, which is, yo, I liked it. I liked this shit a lot. I was at work watching it and I was thoroughly entertained. I was kind of taken back by how violent it was. I'm not someone who abhors violence. You know, I beat homeless people up on my way to work, just, you know, to keep them in line and help them get along in life. But I was taken aback.
You do live in a nice neighborhood, so what are they doing there? What are they lost?
That is exactly what I always say. But I was taken aback by how violent it was. Oscar Isaac's performance, man, was top tier. Everything about it, the accent, the interaction with the other characters, I loved it, bro.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you, Gray?
Oh, it was really good, really good. I really like that it's completely different from all the other Marvel shows we've seen so far on Disney Plus, and I think that that's what makes, like, for instance, WandaVision and Loki really special, is that they're pushing the envelope. This is once again something completely different and new. It feels different. It very probably because it's in Europe right now, at least for this part of it. They're like the feel of the beginning of the show. And I know that Oscar Isaac's accent is not a real English accent, but it's a persona. He's not supposed to be having an authentic accent, so I'm okay with that. But generally, like, the feel of the show feels like it's like a European production, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's something. So that's another thing that we hadn't seen yet from a Marvel, like, Disney Plus show. So that was a little bit of a surprise. Like, for instance, yeah, it's just different and fun, you know.
Yeah.
Really enjoying
it.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. I loved it. Well, one, I gotta say, Gray, I know you, and this is not the first time I've heard you bitch about accents. You're a accent fascist.
Well, I just said, okay, here's the reason why I mentioned his accent is because I've been reading reviews today, and I saw someone complain about his British accent. I was like, but it's not a real person. Like, that character of Stephen Grant that we met is one of his personalities. He's obviously was not born and raised in England, in the UK.
Yeah, it's a New York cabbie doing an imitation of a British person.
Right. Basically, yes. So I thought that it was kind of genius that Oscar Isaac probably wasn't trying too hard.
Right. You know, Courtney says, I know that run, Mantis. It was super dope. I didn't know how to feel about Mr. Knight, but it is it's cool that they brought him around. Yeah, no, and then also Courtney says that dude can act. And so I love this episode, and I might go as far to say that this was my favorite first episode out of any of the Marvel shows thus far.
Ooh.
I know you thought I was going to break out the haterade, right? You thought I was going to break out that haterade.
I did, man. I did.
The thing is, there's nothing to hate.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hate. He doesn't costume up until... Oh, wait. Spoilers, guys. Spoilers. He doesn't costume up until the last 5 minutes, and we don't even get a good look at it. But, however, I will say, it was compelling to get him to that point. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know what's crazy about this, man? I usually are we allowed to talk about actually talk about the episode? Or?
Yeah, let's go for it. This is what has to happen.
All right, so you know what I really love is the opening scene. Just like you, man, I love the dialogue he's having with his quote unquote mom on the on the phone. I thought that added a nice dynamic to it because we know he's crazy as all get out. So who knows who he's really talking to on the phone?
That homeless guy you beat up in your neighborhood is who he's talking to.
Oh, I think another thing that I really enjoyed is I love the preparation. You know, I love seeing him having to take the anklet, the ankle restraint off his leg, his ankle, and then the sand around the bed. I can't wait to get into some more of the backstory. And I love the mundane representation of him going to work and dealing with day-to-day life shit, man. That was amazing.
Yeah, that is the cry of the modern man, the hatred of going to work. Right?
Also working retail.
Yeah.
So sad.
This poor guy. And so they had put, so you know what I really like? I think they really did an amazing job of putting in just little great details. And so I'll give you an example. You know how he's talking to his mom on the phone? If you notice, he gets postcards from his mother. And later on, when he's in the gift shop, all the postcards that are up on his board are sold at the gift shop.
Oh, I didn't even know.
So that means he's probably sending himself gift postcards.
I didn't even.
Oh my god, that is hilarious.
And I was like, oh my god, this is nuts, man. And so going into, I think we all knew that he had multiple personality disorders, so we weren't Fight Clubbed in this. We knew that was going to happen.
Right.
We know he's not Stephen Grant. A nice, non-threatening British man.
Yo, you know what's crazy, man? The opening with Ethan Hawke with the glass, and shout out to Ethan Hawke, man. Dude, he's just one of those actors that's just so underappreciated, man.
So
and
true.
He's so friggin' crazy in every film, even Training Day. There's just this air of insanity, like he strangles cats.
And what's funny is this is different than all his other crazy archetypes.
Yeah.
This is different type of crazy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that opening scene, man. And when you're ready, man, I really want to get into all of that stuff. So just like
you were about to start talking about that opening scene, which I really love that opening scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, did you guys feel that when he puts on the shoes, every time actually for the rest of the episode, every time I saw him take a step, I cringed. Right? I was like, oh, that poor bastard. Oh my god. And so I think it's also funny, Steve, that you mentioned that you thought that you thought it was really violent. You couldn't believe how violent it is. What's interesting is they did a really smart way of editing out the violence.
Oh, you mean like the more gory stuff?
The more gory stuff where he would just simply have a flash and then he'd look around and everyone was killed.
Yeah, so that's one thing I thought I was gonna get annoyed with, but I was amazed by how entertained I was by that, because it's like, that cut and then he comes back and he's got blood on his hand. I'm like, bro, like I'm used to, all of it is violent, right? Everything in the MCU, every fight scene is violent, but it's violent G, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like near kung fu movies.
Like Iron Man. When Iron Man shoots a blast that disintegrates somebody, you think you saw the person get disintegrated, but you're not sure.
Exactly.
Cut away.
With this, man, when he came to and he had blood all over his hand when they were trying to get the scarab out of his hand, I was like, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
There was a woman laying on the floor, which means he's not a sexist, because he beat that woman to death too.
It's true. The true modern man beats a woman if she's an adversary. Cultist.
If they try to take your scarab away,
they try to take my
you do
scarab.
What you have to do.
He's equal opportunity in the beatings and the thrashings that he gives.
I thought that was cool. I love the fact that I love the cult aspect of Ethan Hawke walking through and people are just trying to touch him. Gray, I think you might have seen this as well, but there's like a fake Jesus who lives in Rio de Janeiro or like some part of Brazil, and like they always show this footage of this beautiful white guy with the salon hair.
Fabio.
As he's walking through, I love that Ethan Hawke is just your run-of-the-mill Bed-Stuy hipster with Jesus sandals on, and they're touching him, and then when he does the judgment for the people, I thought that was really risky for the MCU. That's a little bit darker than they tend to go. Like, again, we've seen people get disintegrated, but the word judgment and being judged and then that old woman dying, I thought that was really an insane move for them.
Yeah, and to be honest, just, the mere fact that they're bringing gods and goddesses in, like when Thor came in, they were too scared to really make him a god. So they're like, well, he's an alien that you thought was a god. But this is actually bringing gods in, and it's risky, but at this point, MCU can't be touched, right?
Yeah, also, I do think that it's less risky than, for instance, I don't think they'd ever mess with, for instance, and I'm not saying they should, but like the Hindu gods or something like that. They would not mess with something like that.
Because they're
Egyptian
brown.
gods are safer because it's like a dead religion,
Yep.
I would say that the Asgardians are no longer worshipped either, but I don't know why they chose the alien route. I guess, like you said, it was safer at the time, but I think they could have gone with Asgard as an actual, realm, and they think they're gods, or they're like higher beings.
Well, they stripped us of a lot of opportunity to have fantasy, basically like a storyline where a character is basically like a Final Fantasy character.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see Thor be that,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, don't get me started. I would have liked to see him as the disabled doctor, but I guess we're never going to get that in the MCU, so it's okay. It's okay.
Actually,
I like Chris Hemsworth.
That would have been amazing if he freaking had to be like, slam his cane down and be like, Thor,
Yeah.
That would be totally amazing. Oh, but also, just totally side note, nothing to do with Moon Knight. You've heard the theory about the realm Eternal, Asgard. You've heard this theory about after Eternals, what they think happened.
No, what's going on?
There's a theory that Asgard once had a celestial in it, and it broke out. And because of like Odin's magic, he was able to keep it together. But that's not why. That's why it's not a circular planet.
I like that. I think not to get too crazy, man. I like that theory, and considering that we're gonna have Gore the God Butcher in there, I think we're gonna see the Asgardians become more godlike in that next the next installment.
I hope so. I mean, they're having Thor. What is it? No, they're having Zeus.
Yes,
Zeus is gonna be in there, so they're gonna be talking about other gods. They're getting god crazy now.
Yeah. Bro, let me just ask you a quick question, man. Back to the violence portion. Great, Mantis. What did you think when that car got hit by all those logs? Because I literally jumped back and I was like, did that just happen in the MCU? Like, did that thing just get toppled and run over? And then, like, I'm telling you, man, like, I was sitting there and I was amazed. I remember when I went to go see The Winter Soldier, and I thought that was super violent. When Bucky would go Terminator and he's just like kicking people into Quinjets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this was like next level violent.
Oh my, no, it absolutely was. Basically Feige just might be untouchable at this point. He'll do whatever the hell he wants. And like, the log will smash the child. I don't care.
I'll say the logs didn't bother me because that's kind of like an act of God, like.
Oh, that could be how they play it off, right?
Oh, that's a good point. But
he's going to cause a lot of death. He's going to cause because Moon Knight is normally a bloody character.
Right. But I would say the ending where we finally see Moon Knight in all his glory, that actually surprised me. You don't usually see superheroes go into town like that on prone villains, you know what I mean?
Right.
They're already down. And he's just wailing on him.
Courtney says in the chat, you honestly can't do Moon Knight without violence. Didn't he rip some villain's face off? Bushmaster, I think it was. I don't know if it was Bushmaster, but he ripped someone's face off, yes.
Bro, he friggin' what did he do? He kicked Daredevil through a wall in the comics. He kicked a blind man through the wall and told him he was blind.
Well, I mean, I have no sympathy for Daredevil. He can handle himself. Once a blind person can take steps, all is fair. You can just throw things at him or heads up.
The one thing they need to learn to make this show amazing to me, man, is the choreography. Like, when they get into the actual fighting, because of who Moon Knight is, I need Batfleck type fighting.
Yes.
Look at me. I love the choreography from Daredevil, like the Goodfellas like following of the fight down the corridor, and that was cool. But I'm gonna need to see some 3-hit combos, broken arms, necks, ankles getting kicked in. I need that type of fight.
Superhuman combat. And so, like, when you see the Batfleck combat, there's no way you're telling me that he's a normal human. He literally flips over a crate and with one arm throws the crate. The crate must be 1,000 pounds. And smashes a dude through a wall, like, through it. I'm like, no, I don't care how many push-ups you do, bro. You can't do that. But that's what I'm saying. These people are superhumans. I want to see actual superhumans who know martial arts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing crazy stuff.
Bro, you know what's great about this, man? You know that I love the Marvel Knight stuff, but I wanted to go back to Gray's point. I think Feige was like, yeah, go ahead and let him beat the gray thing to death. Kill the gray thing. Keep punching the gray thing. And Oscar Isaac was like, it's not really here. He's like, pretend it's your mother, Oscar. Kill.
It's that Suicide Squad thing?
Yeah.
That's probably why Oscar Isaac is such a good actor, because he's probably seen a lot of shit growing up. I'm kidding.
Absolutely.
He's a spoiled brat. But he did a great job. He really did a great job. I'll just let you know, in the comics, Stephen Grant is a billionaire.
Right.
He's a billionaire in the comics. He's not some sniveling little bitch. So they switched it around. I wonder if he's going to obtain that role or whatever.
I hope so. But I'll tell you, the sniveling character, I love that the third act in the literally the third act in his head, the deity was like, oh no, the crazy one's in control of the body. And I also love that his only friend. There were things that pulled on my heartstrings here. My heart's as dead as Canada. I love the fact that he was talking to that frozen mime guy. Those statue people.
Oh, right.
It's fitting. And he's having a full conversation and taking pictures for the guy. I thought it was amazing.
And actually I found this out while I was watching another YouTuber, and they actually had said that they had pointed out that in the comics he has a confidant who's an old man who looks like that statue, quote unquote statue. It's not really a statue; it's a dude pretending. You know what I'm saying? And obviously I didn't know Moon Knight well enough, but I think that dude's gonna end up being a character or whatever, his statue buddy.
I like it, man. I like it. I like all of it. There was nothing that I was upset with this show. Like, usually when there's a new premiere for a Marvel show, even with WandaVision, I was like, man, I don't feel like I got enough. I really do feel like the Marvel Knights emblem should have came up at the end of the show.
Yeah, because remember, here's what I'm saying. I absolutely respect for the technical genius that WandaVision's first couple episodes really were. They were brilliantly done. However, it was television that you're like, well, was that really 25 minutes? Was that even 25 minutes?
Right.
You felt like you didn't see anything, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But this was like really well done. I can't wait for the next episode, but in a different way. It's not like I'm unsatiated. It's just I want to go again. I want to go again.
Yeah, when he turns around, you're like, wait, that's it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry, Gray.
No, just saying it felt like it had been leading up to this, like it kind of like was well paced, and then it was like super fast at the end, and then you're like, what's going on? And then the title credits come on and you're disoriented,
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Oh, by the way, I just wanted to point out, you guys know who is playing that voice in his head, Khonshu, right?
No, who?
No.
That's F. Murray Abraham is playing the voice of Khonshu.
That's not ringing a bell.
Okay, so he is a very well-known actor. My favorite role of his is Salieri in Amadeus.
Oh! That dude's in everything. He's one of those dudes who's in everything. Okay.
Yeah. He is a very long career.
Okay, I've got a question. Yeah. I gotta ask a question because it's so funny. It was gonna go into my complaint section. I have very few complaints about this episode. Is he? I can't tell. He's racially ambiguous. Is he white, dude?
Oscar Isaac?
No, the voice. Salieri. The guy who played Salieri.
I believe he's supposed to be an Egyptian, at least Avatar, right? Am I?
No, okay. Hold on. I'm asking about the actor. Is the actor white or is he not white?
Wait 1 second. Let me look this up.
Because my original complaint was like, his voice sounds a little white to me to be an Egyptian god, but
oh god, don't start that. The Hotep can come out of nowhere and take this whole thing over right now.
Well, the people are already rallying against.
Okay. So just so you know, his father is Syrian. And his mother's Italian American.
Yeah, I could tell he wasn't fully okay. That's fascinating, man. That's totally fascinating. But what I'm saying, there are people out there who are haters, and they're all trying to hit it on diversity. They're trying to say there aren't enough Egyptian characters. They're saying why wasn't what's his face, the cult leader, played by an Egyptian?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I'm going to tell you guys: race is a social construction. The actual people who once worshipped these ancient Egyptian gods, their genetic pattern has spread across the earth and isn't within many of us. And I don't think that same group of people still exists today. Right?
So I can't get any money If I find out I have Egyptian blood in me?
Well, what I'm saying is you could still theoretically be the avatar for an Egyptian god because they aren't SJWs, Egyptian gods. They're not going to go, well, he's not Egyptian enough. I'm not going to empower him with, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't check the Egyptian box when he's applying for the job, so you're out. Elizabeth Warren is in.
She's just a little bit of everything, isn't she? The gift that keeps on giving. Well shot too, man. The cinematography in this, the mood, everything was perfect, man. Even in the daylight, it's still very dark. And that damn fish with the one fin, I knew there was some foreshadowing there. I was like, oh man, somebody's gonna kill the fish. Ethan Hawke's gonna eat the fish. Something's gonna happen to the fish. What happened to the fish?
Actually, that's the question. Are we gonna get any of the memories that he's lost? Are we gonna actually have flashbacks to that when we have access to the other personalities?
I hope so, man. I hope so. I have no idea where the second episode is going, and just like Gray, I'm glad I'm coming in here kind of fresh, and I didn't do what I normally do, which is binge watch, explains and reactivate my trial subscription to Marvel Unlimited.
Right.
Start wearing through stuff, but I don't know. I hope we get the memories, man. I wish he would have got to go on the date though. And that scene was amazing too, man. He's just like, not looking good, is it? And I'm just like, oh man, I feel this guy. I feel him.
And I gotta say, the perfect image of a man or anyone having a breakdown is a guy who claims to be a vegan, to the best of his knowledge, ordering a steak, and the person's like, how do you want the steak? And he's like, I want it good. I want it real good. And I'm like, well then, because he doesn't know how to order a steak. It was brilliant. That is a man having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
I love that too. I thought it was amazing.
Lainey says, oh my god, the fish. But then he leaves the fish, and the fish shows back up. I thought that the fish was going to be the scarab.
Oh.
Okay, so my theory about the one fin fish is that the fish was probably knocked down when Mark or one of his other personalities was trying to get to that cubby hole.
Yeah.
And they killed the fish, and they were like, you know what? Steven's gonna freak out if he finds out we killed his fish. We have to get him a new fish. That's what I'm thinking.
So what exactly is the nature of that? Do you think that Steven is the bottom bitch? He's the bottom bitch personality.
They have to protect him.
They treat him with kid gloves. Kid gloves are like, he's gonna flip out if there's no fish.
I don't even think they said it that nicely. They're like, we gotta help the incel.
But that's
it. Have the fish ready for him.
So that is interesting. So that this could be one of those things where someone's his other personality is replacing the fish. But I like Lainey's theory. That would be interesting if that is what the scarab is.
Yeah. So wait, can someone give me some background on Ethan Hawke's character? Since we're now well into spoiler territory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could look it up right now.
No, you don't have to do that, man.
The guy's name was Arthur Harrow.
Yeah. Right.
So I guess you can look that up.
Okay. Nope. I thought you were about to tell us about it. I thought she was really about to break it down. She's like, here it is. So it's Arthur. What was the last name?
Harrow.
Marvel database. Harrow. Okay. Here we go. 616. We want that real stuff. Dr. Arthur Harrow was a selected candidate for the Nobel Prize in Medicine for his work in the field of pain theory. However, Dr. Victoria Grail. Oh wait, I'm reading his early life. Come on, get to the good stuff.
Interesting that he walks around with ground glass in his shoes, and he studied pain.
Right.
I'm guessing that'll come up at some point.
Yeah.
So basically, his only power is genius level intellect. He really is just an evil cult leader.
But now he's got godlike Minority Report powers.
Wait, what? Where are you reading that?
Remember Minority Report?
Yeah.
Yeah, he judges people.
Oh, he judges them for stuff they're gonna do.
Judging people for their crimes.
Yes.
That's Minority Report.
Oh my God!
What a
Right.
goddess.
And what's actually interesting is, you realize that both Moon Knights, what is it, Khonshu, and then the Amit, have similar aspects. Do you realize that? Because so she's judging people and punishing them.
Right.
Well, he's the god of justice. Khonshu is the god of justice, and he's supposed to dish out justice, while she's doing like the evil side of justice.
I like this.
I love it. I freaking love it, man. It's really good.
So you know what's crazy about this whole
Papa
thing,
Frida,
man?
welcome in.
I was one of the few people who was really disappointed that Ghost Rider didn't pop off the way I wanted to. I wanted Ghost Rider to be the launching point for like Marvel Nights. I was really into the idea of Marvel After Dark on Hulu and all this stuff. But I think Kevin Feige has really opened my eyes to the fact that he is going to give us what we want, and we might be able to get it in PG-13, because I think he recognizes that the boundaries of PG-13, like when we were growing up, are completely collapsed now.
Oh, right. These kids are depraved.
He's like, you can see sex in a PG-13 movie.
I mean, 13-year-olds now are pretty experienced.
Yeah, they see worse things on TikTok than you see in a Marvel movie.
Right, there you go.
Yeah,
that's the point. We did have to put the PIN code on Disney Plus for this one, because I didn't want my son accidentally clicking it. I was like, oh, okay, mixing this one right in the butt. But I'm with everything that's going on with this show, man, I want to see what episode 2 sets up. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what the last episode sets up. I'm patiently waiting for Blade, and we need Blade either at the end of this show or firmly in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And I would rather see him in this show, because this show is actually shot in movie quality. I don't know if you guys picked that up, but it didn't have the same cinematography as WandaVision. Like, it was really, really high scale. I enjoyed it a great deal.
WandaVision was high scale, but they purposely, they made it look like old shitty television. It was the gimmick, right? But I could tell that was quality production. But like, damn, no, it's really good. So more things that people are really complaining. Not people are complaining about. People are looking for complaints to be. Is one, not enough Egyptian actors, which I don't know how many work in American Hollywood nowadays. But the other one was irresponsibility about mental health. Let's get into that for a second.
Oh boy.
Brother.
So basically, there's a bunch of people who believe that if you see people with mental health issues, like in a show or a movie, if we don't see them getting professional help, it's irresponsible, and it kind of influences people not to seek help. What do you guys think of that idea?
I'll let Gray take this one.
Well, here's the thing. Mental health issues have existed much longer than television or fiction, for that matter. As long as there's been people, there's been mental health issues. We can't limit fiction, limit our imaginations, because we're worried that somebody somewhere is going to have a bad reaction to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, the people who are having the bad reaction are going to need to remove themselves. And I think that's why trigger warnings are actually sometimes legitimate things. Like, because there are people who do need to be warned that this is not for them, Like, if there's a certain types of violence, and I'll say it's sexual violence, certain people are going to be very upset by it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always just better to have that warning.
Like, like for instance, just side topic, Ginny D from, she's a D&D player on YouTube. Mm-hmm. She gives all these tips about GMing, and usually I'm like on board with her. I'm like, yeah, I do the same thing. That's great. And one of her things is she's like, you should have a sit down with your players and talk about how much violence you're going to have in the game. And I was like, well, that sounds weird. And then she goes, and also how much sex is in the game, in your RPG. And I'm like,
why?
Well, I can tell you why. I've read a lot of RPG horror stories about nerds taking it way too far. Like, as far as trying to R-word female characters.
Right. But then again, why would
female players creating female characters, and then suddenly the DM is having them R-worded? You know?
Right. No, I know,
that's
but
not cool at all. Yeah.
Right, but it's the same faux pas or similar faux pas as if someone was like screaming racist stuff at the table, the GM, right? Like, obviously what it is they've crossed a line and you just go, yo, F this, I'm not playing with you, and you get up and you walk out. Just like if you go to a horror movie, do you really need to be warned, by the way, this could be triggering? That's what horror is for. But
if you're playing D&D, you might not expect your DM to suddenly, be like, well, you're going to have to bang this centaur in order to move forward with the campaign.
The rule of thumb is don't play with assholes. Yeah. Or in real life, don't hang out with assholes. And so, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't politics with creeps, and don't be creepy when politics.
I just think that D&D does attract some creepy freaks.
Okay. I feel I've heard your opinion. Interesting. I know there are freaks, but I'm just saying I kind of agree with Steve that I'm like, I think that we're getting kind of out of hand with the trigger warnings now.
Like I said, it depends on the circumstance, and I do think that just to let these people remove themselves, it's better to get that over with. Maybe at the beginning of the show, whatever.
For instance, like like in high schools, more and more they're saying, like, when you're learning anything about it in like literature or anything like that, or history, they tell you trigger warnings, and you're allowed to opt out of the lesson. I mean, this is probably not a conversation for Rogue Planet. That's like a different thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. But that's probably a conversation for a different show.
Right. History is different from a fictional show.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think they definitely should have labeled this horror, though, so that people just know.
100%. 100%.
Because I think that he's headed. I believe he's going to hang out with Blade and Black Knight. And I'm sure a couple other. I have a feeling that Werewolf by Night will eventually show up as well.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I just want to touch on the mental health thing for a second, right? So I understand where Gray's coming from, and it's a valid point. If we're gonna keep the scope solely to mental health and the claim that it's irresponsible, you're not gonna be able. In this instance, you're not gonna be able to please everyone 100% of the time, right? So you couldn't make a movie like Fight Club nowadays, and it's caught in its criticism in the modern day because of how schizoaffective disorder was represented in auditory and visual hallucinations. But you got to remember one thing about this, man. We're talking about extreme cases, the most extreme rare cases, right? Mm-hmm. And it's being represented in a friggin' superhero movie. And that's why I think Gray is correct in regards to, like, hey, maybe this is not the show for you. But another thing to take into consideration is maybe it is the show for you. Like, we're always talking about representation, right? You need to let the next few episodes play out. And I think sometimes if we take a step back, like what I do as a black person, when I see stuff, man, I take a step back and I go, this is a superhero show. Why would I be so offended by Luke Cage? Right? Why would I be so offended by Luke, his cadence and the representation of Harlem? And I have to remind myself, this is art. Now, I'm not asking everyone to be pragmatic about it. If you're offended by it, you're offended by it. But maybe just allow art to be art.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know what? I'm going to put it like this. It's like the rating system, or let's say HBO. If you are watching an HBO show, you can pretty much assure that eventually in an episode, someone is going to be R-word. Am I correct?
I don't think every HBO show, but I would say I thought you were just going to go say somebody's going to be topless because
well, you know what? People aren't comfortable with that either. But however, they know going into it that they're like, there's going to be sex, violence, and even worse things. If you're watching Euphoria, there's a good chance you're going to see some upsetting topics. If you're watching Game of Thrones, you're going to see some upsetting topics. They don't particularly point out the triggers. I mean, they're just saying this is HBO at 10 p.m.
Say you're watching that Issa Rae show. You're not going to expect that stuff on the
But actually, there could be, on a show like that, there could be, because a lot of these shows that are kind of funny sometimes do a very special episode that try to teach you about stuff.
Right. I do think, though, like, for instance, Netflix had to censor 13 Reasons Why because they actually were able to see that it was causing more suicides amongst teenagers. So that's an actual thing where, it needs,
actually, now that you mentioned
warning. Yeah.
That's so funny you brought that up. You know why? I watched, and I didn't like 13 Reasons Why, but I had to find, I had to keep watching because I had to know why it happened. And then when I was shocked at the reason it happened. That scene fucked me up. Mm-hmm. However, I took it like a man.
I assume it has to do with the R word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so he's following this mystery of why this girl took her own life, and then finally they show you that scene, and I was like, well, I didn't see that coming. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just the dangers of watching adult television,
Yeah, but that particular show was geared towards teenagers, I would say.
Which makes it worse. Which makes that scene even worse. But
yeah. No, I'm just saying that sort of thing. I do think they need trigger warnings, and I do think that parents should watch that sort of thing with their children.
Yeah, it's crazy though, man, because when we get into this conversation, I agree with the trigger warnings for sure. I agree. As a parent now, I understand, I want to know what my kid's about to get into. I even actually want to know what I'm about to watch. I remember one scene that messed me up really bad that had to do with the R word was Apocalypto. And they didn't even show it. You know what I'm saying? It was just that scene where they take over the village and they take the kind of big doofy guy's wife away.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me forever. In regards to like this though, man, I think that again, man, like I'm not downplaying any mental health condition or disorder, but know what you're about to watch, right? And then maybe, you make the decision not to watch it.
Right. I mean,
it's crazy because Euphoria was on, right? And it had a little outcry about the sex and the drugs and all that stuff, and that shit has died out, straight up and down. Like it got smushed so quickly by people defending it by it's high art.
I promise you, Euphoria isn't high art. It's just
it really isn't.
It's just HBO being HBO. HBO is that little perverted violent kid who in your class who draws perverted or violent pictures all the in his notebook, and then they gave him a fucking television show.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Public says over in Twitch, have y'all seen Irreversible? That movie definitely needs a trigger.
Oh my god, yeah, that was probably one of the most horrific scenes of sexual violence that I've ever seen.
And actually, however, I feel like I did have a heads up. I feel like before I saw it, I already knew the idea of what was going on. But I'm telling you, you're right. There's plenty of adults who could sit down and not be ready and turn it on, and then when it hits that scene, they're just like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah, you know what's funny though is when the Marvel Netflix shows came to Disney Plus, and they announced that they were going to have parental controls. I saw a lot of people online saying, "Oh, well, I guess it's because of the Luke Cage, Jessica Jones sex scene in Jessica Jones," and I'm like, Jessica Jones, like. There should be trigger warnings in Jessica Jones, but not necessarily for two adults having sex.
Right.
That's not that like consensual.
Actually, that was a pretty tame scene. That was
not something that
That was a pretty tame scene. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't all that. I was kind of surprised that was the first thing that came to mind, especially since the first season of Jessica Jones is so dark, and that's the first thing.
That subject matter is dark. Yeah. Oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything against trigger warnings, man, but after the trigger warning is presented, after the adult content this show may include things like strong sexual content or the R word, then it's up to you to make a decision not to watch. And here we go back into the freaking conversation of, do you get to make the decision for everyone else? And the whole irresponsible thing, you would need to have a clinician sit down and prove that. right?
Well-
You're like, you don't just get to make wild claims on the internet and say it's irresponsible.
Well, everyone's had a comment like that. Remember back in like the 90s when people were like, the video games are making our children violent. It's like, no, your lack of parenting is making them violent.
Yeah.
And so no one knows. Everyone's what is it? An armchair psychologist all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But they don't know. But the truth is, when I'm looking at the mental health thing in this aspect, getting back to the root of what we started on, there is no story if he goes to a therapist. Like, if you see Fight Club, the story would end if Tyler Durden was like, I think I'll go see a shrink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they have to let him, at least for the time being, run around like a crazy person for us to enjoy Moon Knight.
Yeah.
100%. And then also, man, it's just like, bro, can we just kick back and enjoy for a little bit? You know what I'm saying? Let's just enjoy the story as it rolls out. You know, unplug yourself from your YouTube clinical sociologist degree, right? you know, the warning's up. Disney's responsible about this stuff. It's let's just get into it, man. You know, you got your warning. Make the decision not to watch before Kevin Feige shows up at your house and he shows you real mental health disorders.
Well, the problem is that nowadays everybody's got a goddamn opinion, and we all have platforms.
Yeah.
As long as Zuckerberg allows it, we have platforms. Public says calling it irresponsible is also implying that the people making these shows and movies care about being responsible for these audiences, or you're overestimating these producers. I agree. It's not. I would say my job as a producer. I say this about everything. My job is to make money, not to look out for your kids. Okay.
That's your job.
If your high school age kid is like, you know what, I'm not going to go to a therapist, so I can be more like Moon Knight. Well, one, I'd say he's a dumbass. And two, I'd say you need to start being a parent. It's not Kevin Feige's job to parent them.
Yeah.
Boom.
100%,
Mic drop. Mic drop. Now we are approaching that time. We're down to our final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts on this one. Starting with Gray, what were your final thoughts? Anything you haven't gotten out about this episode?
Just that I'm really excited for it, and this is the kind of show where I wish I could binge it, but I'm also really excited for the anticipation of week to week. So it's killing me, is what I'm gonna say. It's killing me.
Okay. Yeah. And what about you, Hold Up?
As usual, man, I'm just happy to be on the MCU train. You know, I'm happy to have a show back on. I was almost cringing and thinking that Halo might be the only thing I'm watching right now. And this is perfect timing, and it hit the spot. It hit the spot. It did everything a first episode was supposed to do. And
I'm just happy that Hawkeye is done and we have this instead.
That is true. Yeah.
Lady, thank you for the gem over in Green Room. That means a lot. Guys, before we wrap up, do you guys have any shout outs or plugs to make?
Go ahead, Gray.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go first. So here on Twitch, if you're listening on Twitch, I will be probably streaming again soon, doing fan art and whatever art I feel like. I do digital art streams. So if you want to catch that, it'll be soon, probably on the weekends. Maybe some nights. We'll see. Whenever I feel like
That's
it.
Twitch under the name
Rogue Planet. I do not hold to a schedule.
The way you said that, it was like you were attacking me for having a schedule. I'm a monster all of a sudden?
No.
Because I have a schedule?
I'm just jealous.
You're
okay?
jealous hater. On Twitch, you are Gray Winthrop as well? The people can find you as Gray Winthrop on Twitch, is that correct?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a delay, but yes, Gray Winthrop on Twitch. Yeah, one word.
Okay, awesome. And Hold Up TV, any shout-outs or plugs you want to make?
I feel as if though I would take up too much time shouting out my shows. So I'm just
because he streams 75 different shows all week long. Throughout every day, every morning, every night,
Bro, Sunday through Friday, you can catch the Hold Up TV doing our thing. But tomorrow night, we will be celebrating the Pink Princess Bex herself over on Mixcloud. It's the premiere of Request Box Live on Mixcloud, and it'll be her birthday stream. So if you haven't already, just look for the Hold Up TV on Mixcloud and go ahead and follow. And you know where to find me every other night.
Absolutely. You got something going on tonight.
He schedule because he's always streaming.
Right. You got something going on tonight, don't you?
I do. Dope Dynamics is going to go on at 10:15, hosted by myself, Cincy Star, Bex, and Joe VEEE. And you can catch the replay for Spy on the Date, which went amazing.
I got to check that out. That is a fun show that you do.
That's all I got.
Awesome, guys. And so keep tuning in every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for all sorts of comic book, movie, sci-fi, and gaming reviews and discussions here on Rogue Planet, which you can always find live at that time on Spotify Green Room or Twitch, or you can always see the recap on my YouTube channel, which is Voice of the Fat Mantis. Once again, another amazing Rogue Planet episode. I thank you so much for Steve, the Hold Up TV, and Gray Winthrop. You guys are amazing. Shout outs to everybody over in our chat, everybody in all our rooms. Thank you for making this an amazing stream. Until next time, guys. Ciao for now. Peace. Hi guys, still the Fat Mantis over here. If you guys are into these kind of hot button topics and fresh takes and fun conversation, you don't always have to wait for my twice a week commentary videos to engage in them with me, the Fat Mantis. I actually do a live stream every morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I can be found on Twitch and at Spotify Green Room for you audiophiles who just want to have a radio experience. It's fun. We hang out. We do all sorts of things. We may talk about the news. We may talk about the issues of the day, or we could just be hanging out, talking about comics, video games, whatever you like. Wherever the chat takes us is where we're headed. We get a little zany over there, but it's a good time, and quite frankly, it's a great way to start my morning. And yes, I don't wake up till 11, but I hope to see you guys there. Please check me out on my other apps. I'm going to be creating content literally every single day for you guys because I love you. Now, this is the real ciao for now.